stuff will shift for no reason. It's the ghost. All right, good. I'm still standing. Oh.
Welcome in, everyone. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. This is the Moogle's Vault podcast, and we got Doc on again.
Hey,
I'm
hey,
glad to
hey.
get the podcast up and running again, but we're currently waiting on our other guest, Venge, to get into the his house at the moment. So hopefully he can join us soon. But let's just talk about like what's up and coming with this with the episode and the topics. So you
Oh,
excited, Doc, to hear about that we're doing the old school Nintendo and
oh,
new school
man,
stuff?
one of my favorites, dude. One I actually grew up with. So, yeah, man, the original NES. Is that it, or am I?
NES, the one that revived the Crash. Like I'm not sure if you remember the Crash, but it was 1983. I was doing some research on it because I wasn't born then, but I was doing
Right.
some research on it. 1983, there was a huge crash in gaming and like all this stuff, like even pinball machines. It
Yeah.
was everything to do with Atari, everything to do with pinball machines, everything gaming. Even like what was Pac-Man again? Like this was before Pac-Man, I think.
I mean, yeah, this is basic. I think Japan called it the Atari shock, actually, because there was a lot of low quality games. Like you said, they just everybody was just sort of mass producing everything. And what a lot of people don't remember is that these old machines, like if you and I wanted, we didn't need a publisher, we didn't need anything. We just make a game and like it would work on this on the software on the Atari. So there was just like mass produced garbage coming out on these
Yeah,
machines.
come over a little earlier, and I was like, gotta be a little quiet between 6 and 7. So, what's up, Shio?
Was the Venge? Let me just fix the overlay at the moment.
Yes. What's up, Finch?
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
Good to see you, brother.
How do I sound?
Need to turn you down a bit.
I think he's fixing it now.
Can you hear anything in the background?
A little.
You
Uh,
know, Payne's in the kitchen cooking. He's turning his music down. Thank you, bro. You asked if they could hear it mid song switch. Can you guys hear his music?
I can't know.
Okay. I can always switch to headset if need be.
I don't know if she was picking it up, but you're good. You're good here.
it's the overlay is just gonna look funky because Venge is sideways and I don't know how to fix it. So that adding three cams because I couldn't get my other friend to join us so that it would fit the whole overlay. So I only have one overlay for the four panels, but like it'll look a bit funky for the stream. But hopefully that's okay.
Did you say I'm sideways?
Oh no, it's just on the stream, like because like the side of your camera goes into the other side of the panel where I would have someone else, but because like how the Discord works, I paid someone to do a four panel for me, so it just looks a
Heard.
bit funky. But let's get started, guys. Are you excited? Hey guys, this is the Moogle's Vault podcast. I got on the Venge Lord, a good friend of
What's
mine,
up?
and Doc underscore Hex. All right. We can't hear you, Doc. What's going on? Why can't we hear him?
Hold on. Check 1, 2. Can you hear me?
There we go. There we go.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. What in the world, dude? Yeah. How's it going, everybody? Good to see you, Vinge.
Yo, what's
Shio,
good,
as
man?
all. It's a pleasure, both of y'all. Good to see you.
Reason why I wanted to get both of you on the same episode is Venge wanted to meet you quite a bit on an
He
episode as
did.
well.
Fantastic. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Vinge, dude.
Yeah, man, it was great. I had a real good time last time.
Yeah, man. Me too. Me too, dude.
So guys, are you excited for the topics today? We're going to be talking about Nintendo Entertainment, and because of the upcoming Pokemon Day with the Pokemon Direct coming on the 29th, I believe, or 27th. I think Pokemon Day is actually 27th, and they're doing a whole Pokemon Direct for the new TCG. They're doing a whole new Pokemon Direct for the upcoming games, like maybe a new Legends Arceus game or a Legends game to say for example. And they're bringing back Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Switch, which might get me into
Oh,
playing on the Switch again. They
so
got
you're coming
physical
back.
copies. They got a physical copy with a down. They got a physical box that I might buy for collection purposes, and it looks so cool.
Now, is this the Switch or the Switch 2 it's coming for?
I think both. I could be wrong, but I
Oh,
think both.
okay. All right. Because I know a lot of games are moving to the Switch 2 now, which obviously I'd expect, but I didn't know if they were still doing as much with the Switch 1 or what how that was going.
It's just the whole problem with the Switch One is hardware. It doesn't run well. I would
Okay.
say it's probably one of the worst new gen consoles from back in like 2012. Like you had like we had the Xbox and we had the PlayStation 4, I think, and like they played so much better than the Nintendo Entertainment System. The fact that we have a Nintendo system now that can actually run, say, Final Fantasy VII remake is actually
Yeah.
shocking. It's shocking
Right.
because that's graphical upgrade and a hardware upgrade that is amazing for the console itself. And it's so weird because there's just so many weird games on Nintendo now. But it's
Yeah.
actually good that they actually have some main title games. But let's get
Mm,
right into the video, guys. Are you ready for the first topic?
can't
Let's
wait.
go.
The rise of the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Ooh, man.
So I
Man,
was
oh
looking
man.
up online. Apparently, there was actually a big crash in 1983 that I'm not sure if Venge knows about. It's called the gaming crash of 1983. And how they called it, and how Doc said earlier that they might have called it the Atari crash because it was mass-produced games.
Yeah,
Uh,
so a lot of people don't remember this. Like I was obviously was born. I was a very young lad still at the time. And but they at the time Atari games and the ColecoVision didn't have any sort of like protection system. So if you guys could create software, it would run on like an Atari or ColecoVision or any of these consoles that were out at the time. There was nothing to stop us from creating a game, us three, and no matter how low quality it was, you could just produce it, run it, cartridge, package it, and it would run. And so there was this rash of really terrible, low quality games coming out from just random, I guess you'd call them developers. And so that in conjunction with a lot of economic factors and just sort of drove games into the dirt because consumers were obviously not happy about the quality of games. This was the time of ET. I know. I'm sure Vengel remembers that one, right? Like,
that's actually what I was about to bring up. Was them burying how many 100,000 copies in the desert in Arizona,
yeah, dude. Just literally burying, dude. Like,
and then
actually,
lied about it, and some guy found it in the desert 12 years ago.
yes. Just dug up, and evidently, like, there's still more copies out there. So there was this rash of really terrible video games back then that were coming out, and there was saturation too. There was so many video games and so low quality. I don't know if this is like ringing a bell for anybody nowadays. We're talking about back in 1983 that like it just drove the market into the ground, and so this crash took the video game industry from I believe it was $3 billion industry to like $100 billion. Like it completely obliterated Atari. I'm pretty sure Magnavox, like Coleco, which was in created the ColecoVision, Television, I think it was called. Also, like began to
Yep.
struggle. Like it tanked a lot of companies, and so I believe where Shio wanted to go was sort of the resurgence of that and some of the innovations that Nintendo made to bring gaming back from the depths.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
think
wanted to talk about. Yeah, because like it's surprising to me because we see a big thing now with where it's the polar opposite you can say within like it used to be random developers like
Right.
oversaturating the gameplay like games, but now I feel like it's AAA developers doing that nowadays, oversaturating the space with so many games, while the indie developers are the ones making the soul games, like the games that are fun. It's so
Right.
shocking to me that it's like a polar opposite, in the
Right.
landscape nowadays. What do you guys think?
Like the
So I guess moving back to like what they were doing back in the like early mid '80s, everybody's company made a video game system. Everybody was trying to hop in the market. It was something new. It was something hot to bring video games home, get people out of the arcades, get people to spend their money with their companies. And when you have 40 different choices, everything. First off, too many choices.
right.
Second off, if you have one and I have a different one, we're playing different games. You lose a lot of the fun of, I remember the old days of calling up my buddies and we were playing the same Zelda and we were in the same spot, or
Yeah.
we missed a secret or found something that the other one didn't find. And there really wasn't any of that because everything was different. Everything was very similar, but not like exact. So there was no like shared feelings. So once they kind of come up into Nintendo, bringing everything together, you sort of now have these smaller tribes emerging and all these smaller companies falling off.
Yeah,
Right, right. And I know like Shio asked the question too that these companies nowadays they're sort of like doing the same thing, and I think most people have this sense that the quality has sort of um depleted, and even I'm not so sure about the amount of games. I think
definitely
obviously
not
there
the
are
amount of games, but the
more.
quality is there. Like the quality
Yeah,
is
and
incredible.
that's what I was gonna say. Like there are a lot of video game choices. If you look on Steam, obviously there's endless games that are constantly being released. But I think more what people has drawn people's ire than anything else nowadays is the fact that the AAA companies are sort of maintaining their high prices, but the quality has seemingly slipped, right? I think a lot of
Agreed.
people would agree with that, right? And so they sort of have been attacking gamers' wallets rather than their imaginations and their minds, and trying to produce games of high quality that'll bring more players in. They've instead tried to figure out ways to more or less nickel and dime us all for money. And player gamers are not stupid; like they see that, and I mean, I don't know that we're in for ahead of a crash, or you could call it that. But I think perhaps a large restructuring at the very least is on the horizon, especially
Definitely,
with the rise of indie games.
And
especially the games.
look at how much I mean Bethesda, ZeniMax, Blizzard. Look at how all these huge mega companies, like everybody knows Skyrim, everybody knows World of Warcraft, everybody knows these huge, humongous games that were just titans of the industry, and now they're getting rid of 50-60% of their staff because
Yeah,
they're
Yeah, it's
losing
shocking.
to Lethal Company, which was made by one guy.
Like a big example is Concerned Ape, the guy who made Stardew Valley. I remember when that game first
Mhm.
came out. That it was just a plain field where you can farm crops. Now it's a whole full-fledged game that's almost $1 billion industry for him.
right.
Because like it's like around like it sold apparently it's sold 163 million copies so far on Steam. Not to mention their global revenue from other consoles, which is on their stores, and the physical copy within Nintendo Switch.
Right,
It
right.
could be $1 billion industry for him because like indie gaming, I think people need to understand is the hierarchy of gaming nowadays, especially with the fact that like back in the day, like it used to be like the unknown developers used to be like the bad developers, but nowadays the unknown developers are the good developers.
Right, right.
It's
And then
very true.
I want to get into like some topics now, like short vivid memory. What was the first time you blew into a cartridge, and what was that game? Because I remember mine, Super Mario 64.
Man, I was probably doing it before I even had memory.
Right. Yeah, same, same actually, dude. Uh, Honestly,
And
it had to have been a copy of Duck Hunt or Super Mario, right? Was that for you the same for you? Like,
I was thinking the exact same thing,
That
but
kind was
my
amazing.
mind keeps slipping back to the TV when the TV would mess up and you'd have to slap the side of it to fix it.
yes.
You just punch it type of idea. You hit those
Yeah,
TVs
Yeah.
nowadays, they break.
they
That was also your
oh,
job as a kid. The TV would start to fuzz up and mom would be like,
Go hit
you know,
it.
yeah. mess with the rabbit ears that people if some people still remember that,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, I know y'all remember this one. Do you remember the okay, so Nintendo obviously had it came out with Duck Hunt, and or I believe it was Super Mario Brothers. But later on, I'm pretty sure they combined those games into like a super cartridge.
They did.
And it was both, right? So it was like Duck Hunt and Super Mario
Yep.
Brothers in one. And I know that had to have been the first cartridge I blew in because the game was so old. You know, a year or two down the line after Nintendo was released, they were like the first cartridges produced for Nintendo. So they're the ones that started to wear out a little bit from constant usage, and
Yeah, either that or Mario 3.
right?
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
wanted to get
I
into like
wore that one out.
some of the big titles as well, like the iconic launch titles. Like this is great for the iconic launch titles because like the NES, like it was Duck Hunt and Super Mario.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything else besides maybe Zelda that came later, but that became a bigger franchise for them later.
Right, absolutely. Like those are the two that the game sort of it stood on. Nintendo stood on those two games basically, and because the Nintendo when it sort of it had a lot of adaptations that made it succeed where a lot of the other industries failed. First and foremost, as you said, this was in the middle of the market crash, right?
Yeah.
So what happened was Nintendo marketed the console not as a video game entertainment, like a video game machine, right? It was the Nintendo Entertainment System. They didn't want it associated with the past low quality video game systems that had dominated the crash, right? They and what do you remember Robbie the robot? The
Yes,
little yeah,
Rob.
that thing. And then Rob, and then there was the light gun game which you used on Duck Hunt and other games going on to I think it was Gumshoe
Don't
was
forget
another
about the
one.
gauntlet.
Oh my god, the Power Glove, it was so bad.
That
Dude,
Power
I
Glove was so bad, man.
nobody wanted yeah, that's from
My
an
local
old
card
reference in the
store,
game.
my local gaming card store, they bought the Power Glove off someone
Power
sealed.
Glove, dude.
I told them they're not gonna sell it.
Oh my god, it's so good, dude. It's so
It's
good, but
amazing. At the right
it
price, I would buy it.
I would too. I'd have one for 100%. And like the reference I was referencing, the Power Glove was in a movie a long time ago, and I mean it's called The Wizard.
Mhm.
And I can't remember who all plays in it. I think maybe Fred Savage was in it back in the day, but they referenced the Power Glove, and one of the guys has it, and he was like, "It's the Power Glove. It's so bad." Like, and now that means it's something different probably nowadays because we all laugh at it. But like you guys said, it was iconic. So Nintendo had all of these extra things that came along with the machine because they didn't want it viewed as just a video game machine. They were trying to sort of break the mold, and they did. And earlier, I referenced how certain machines were you could just sort of pirate them. Nintendo, the NES, the original one, had a lockout chip in it for the first time ever where they were able to control the quality of the games that people made. You had to make a contract or a deal for the first time with Nintendo to get a game on their machine. And so they began to actually create a controlled market around their system. And that's why, and I know you guys remember this, the Nintendo seal of quality was created
Yep.
because that was to show that we have licensed this game. It is under our control. We've made sure the game is good. It's of our brand and it's amazing. And you got Legend of Zelda, which is a gold, like that golden cartridge. That first one, I'll never forget it as long as I live. It's so cool. Like it looked like a piece of
I still
treasure.
have
Like,
mine.
do you really? Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good, dude. It's so good. And but that was why they created this entire market of like high quality games, high quality experiences beyond just gaming that sort of just and they have always, even until the Switch, tried to push that same sort of mentality, and it has worked for them this many years later. So if it ain't broke, I guess don't fix it, man, right?
And then I wanted to go into the next subject is gonna be hardware and design philosophy. So what do you guys think controller innovation between the NES versus to stuff like the Nintendo 64 now? It's crazy because you remember those old airplane controllers on the Nintendo 64 burning your hand into the thumbstick because you're playing Mario Party. I think I even still have my mark right here. You can see it a little bit right there.
balanced falls.
You know, in the later versions of Mario Party, it actually tells you not to do that in the warning before the game
Does
boots
it
all the way.
really?
It does. It's in some of the later ones.
Oh my
I
god.
remember burning my hand into that thing. I do remember burning my hand into that thing. And it just shocked me because like the specs were so bad back in the day for these machines that I'm surprised that they were able to get so many good games on them. Like they were so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, there was
So are you just talking about like the hardware itself, or are you talking about just the peripherals?
peripherals and hardware.
Okay, well, one that I always found funny. I actually learned of this more recently, to be honest. But in the Super Nintendo, you can turn it into a Super Famicom by just filing out that little piece of plastic in there. So
yes.
all American Super Nintendos were sent with this extra piece of plastic so that Super Famicom games from Japan wouldn't physically fit in the game. So you just got to
That's
snip
amazing.
it out. Now you can start playing Japanese games.
That's
Did
cool.
you ever do that? Did you play any Japanese games, Venge Lord,
No,
in
I don't
particular?
speak Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, same. I didn't know if you had experience with those or not. I have friends that mod machines, and I'm like, I don't speak Japanese. I do all that work, and then like I want to be able to play the game still. So
I think the only one that I really did play was on you remember the game and what was it, Game Informer gave you the demo CDs, and on one of those they had a
yes,
Japanese game on there where you're a cat in a mech and you have to go like wreck up a warehouse or something. It's completely in Japanese. I have no idea what the name of the game was, but
that's
I remember
amazing.
liking that a lot.
We could figure that out. Like, one peripheral that I remember, dude, and maybe y'all forget, but like, or you have it, or you haven't. It hasn't been in your memory in a while. Do you guys remember the Super Scope 6? Man, it was like a bazooka that
I
like
got one upstairs.
you do that thing every time. I feel like it's one of the most forgotten badass things in all of ancient video gaming history. And it's never, to my knowledge, and you can correct me, please, has it ever been reproduced on any of the future Nintendo systems? It was like a rocket launcher, right? Like that went like over your eye, if I remember correctly, and you could just fire it like a light gun.
Yep, and it sat on top of your shoulder. You held it
Yes,
like that. Mhm.
yes, dude. Oh my
That's
I mean,
so
god,
other than
cool.
man.
them making like the Time Crisis stuff on PlayStation, I don't think it's ever been redone.
Yeah, that's what I'm
God,
thinking too. Because I don't
what a
remember that being on later consoles.
what a
Like I know they
waste
do. I
that
know
thing
they
is.
did that on like I know they had sniper scopes, but these are different companies. Like Bandai made sniper scopes
Yeah.
for their arcade cabinets for some
And
of
the,
the
the
sniper
sniper
games.
scope was also operated differently. It was actually two screens. So you had the big screen that you would in the arcade, and then you had the little screen that was on the gun. You weren't actually looking
Right.
at the screen through the gun.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's so
So that's
cool,
how they
man.
got around being able to switch over like different screens and all that. Because the light gun and the super scope all required CRT televisions.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Okay.
And let's get
Well,
into
if y'all
this. Let's get into this as well. The risk that changed everything. The Nintendo 64. How they stayed to cartridges and not going to CDs like PlayStation did.
right.
Which is
Now,
why
this
Final
what
Fantasy
I
went on, which is why Final Fantasy, the people who made Final Fantasy, went over to PlayStation so that they can make Final Fantasy 7, which was an iconic
right.
game. But we can talk about that in a later episode because it's gonna be primarily about Nintendo.
Right. I do remember. Now, this one I do remember was extremely controversial because by the time the Nintendo 64 was around, like I was of age, Final Fantasy came out when I was Final Fantasy 7 came out like in the cusp between my senior year in high school and when I went into college to date myself. So I was a grown adult basically at this point in time. And I do remember like Nintendo's controversial decision at that time to hold on to the cartridges. And so, which obviously limited them in some ways, but gave them some, I guess, some versatility in other ways. So, what was your point again about it, Shio or Vigil, or what you want to say about that?
I think what he was trying to say was the controversial decision. But if I remember my history correctly, it was actually a bad business opportunity fell through. So
Yeah. Okay.
Sony was supposed to make the discs for Nintendo's next console.
That's right.
and they went behind Sony's back and worked out a deal with another CD company. And when Sony saw them do that, they said, "Well, screw you. We're going to go ahead and make our own game system." Like just like Bender from Futurama.
Yeah,
Blackjack. I'll make my own.
Jack and
Just
Jokers.
yeah. So that's pretty much how the PlayStation came about.
That's
Is
right.
Nintendo left the deal on bad terms with them, went with another CD corporation, and they couldn't get anything together because they had done none of the testing, none of the R&D, none of that. So they got sort of stuck uh,
With the
in the
cartridges.
in cartridges. Either that, or they had to push back the release date. And if they pushed back the release date, they were no longer competing with PlayStation, and PlayStation would have blown the SNES out of the water.
Yeah.
Right. I see what you're saying. Now I do remember that now that is how the origins of the PlayStation that the back. So the deal they had with the other CD producer just fell through then, and they were left holding the bag of cartridges then. In essence.
The other company that they made a deal with didn't have the R&D to create all the discs and all the demand.
Oh, I see.
So they were a couple years behind Sony because they couldn't instantaneously make everything happen and make everything work.
Yeah.
So they had to develop that stuff into the disaster that was the GameCube disc. And Sony had all the R&D already finished, but they now didn't have a customer for it. So they just said, screw it, and made the PlayStation.
I got you. Wow.
Probably
Big
one of the best
fumble.
decisions Sony ever made.
I think so. I think that could definitely be argued for sure. For sure.
And then I want to talk about some of the impact titles on the Nintendo 64, and even when we get into the next one, the GameCube coming up as well. So Nintendo 64, do you guys remember Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, they're in like generally everyone's top 10, if not top 5 video games of all time, and for good reason. I mean,
They were so good.
moving Mario to 3D, I remember that was a very controversial decision as well. There's a lot of people that were like, 3D Mario, like this is going to be a gimmick because there's a lot of companies that had tried to do 3D games in the past, and it's just a nightmare with the camera work. Even long into the future in video games, right? And the PlayStation games are notoriously some of the 3D games like Resident Evil, like the camera was just oh my god, you die more to the controls a lot of times than, the actual enemies like in the game. So like somehow Nintendo, in my opinion, arguably nailed it almost the very first time they tried it. Like it was and you played it more than Ashio. Maybe you disagree, but I mean, it's so much more intuitive and smooth than a lot of games. Even man, shoot, even now, games that I play, sometimes I'm like, "What is this camera work, dude?"
Yeah, some of the
Like,
camera
try to
work
get
on
your
some games are terrible. Like they're hands down
yeah, but
terrible. It remind like though I think the worst camera work for an old game was probably Super Mario 64 because like there's so many angles you have to do to get precise movements when speedrunning
right.
it. It was terrible camera work. It
Ah,
was just terrible camera work. But then again,
I
there
see.
was also terrible camera work for games like Elden Ring. As good as Elden Ring was, I hated the camera
Mm,
work.
Really?
I would disagree. I thought Elden Ring's camera work was
When it first came
more
out,
locked in for the play style. I think overall, because Elden Ring's not a platformer, I think for it being a fighter, it actually did a pretty good job.
I
If
just found
Elden
that
Ring
the
was a
lock
platformer, it would be total trash.
Yeah, I just found that Elden
Yeah.
Ring, the lock-ons never really worked properly when it first came out.
Really?
I think they might have fixed it, but I know when it first came out, it was not the best for me. Like I might get back into playing it to see what it's updated, but when it first came out, I just found that it was not really cooperative with my
Right.
computer.
And I'm speaking from obviously a casual gamer's point of view. When I say they nailed it, for somebody that's not speed running or hitting those perfect angles, like it was really, it was very good. Like in
Yeah,
my opinion, like it was like when I played it, I thought at first it was awkward to kind of learn how to maneuver it around, but like it eventually became something that just felt really, really good in my hands. And I'm like, this is the first, you know, foray into this 3D stuff, I was like, this is nice. And then obviously Okanara of Time, which you mentioned, is just with the lock-on system, it helped even exponentially like more so than even in Mario 64, right? Like because you could just really which whatever you needed to look at, wherever it was, there was buttons to hit it. And as goofy and as memed as the controller was for the Nintendo 64, I liked it. It worked. It was the GameCube controller that was an abomination to me. That one
Oh, I loved
is
the GameCube
yeah.
I
I
controller.
knew
love the
I knew
GameCube.
I knew one or both of you were gonna be like, dude, like, no, you're so wrong about that. But I hated it, dude.
It's
I hated
so
that
good for the fighting games, though. It's
that
so
yellow
good for the
stick.
fighting games.
They should have just put a needle on the yellow stick just so I could just impale my thumb on it, like, and just get it over with, dude. That thing was so uncomfortable and wonky. It's ugly. I hated the GameCube controller, but I mean,
The
you
crazy
know,
thing about the GameCube controller is people still use it nowadays for fighting games.
do they
Yep.
really? Oh, it's that
Yes,
good for fighting games,
yes,
huh?
it's
If you ever go
amazing.
to
It's
a
the best fighting
competition,
games controller.
You're
all the
kidding
like
me.
top guys, they all bring GameCube controllers.
That's why I'm trash at fighters now. I know. Now I know why. My hands weren't made for that controller. It
Because they
just
had the
didn't.
little notches in the controller for like this for the big stick, so you can get
Yeah.
precise angles in like the Smash Bros.
Oh.
When you're playing Fox,
Yeah.
they would call it like a ledge cancel, and that took a precise angle to actually do, and it's a frame perfect
Oh.
input.
I see.
It's
So
pretty
you
tough to do that. I've tried.
oh my god. So see, so for those of you watching, full disclosure, I was a knuckle dragging Sega Genesis player. So yeah, I'm not. I mean,
No.
we are who we are. I didn't have it. Like my family couldn't afford like both the PlayStation. I mean, excuse me, the SNES and the Genesis at the same time. And I jumped on the Genesis when it came out, which obviously was before the Super Nintendo. And then the rest is history. So I just kind of stuck with that. I didn't play the SNES games till much later on, a few years, and obviously I fell in love with all of the Super Nintendo games. But yeah, it was for me the simple three-button controller was what I loved and what I was used to. So they somehow made that work, and it's hard for me to like go to other inputs after that. So my
Yeah,
age.
that was definitely kind of weird because one of my best friends was a Sega family and we were a Nintendo family.
Oh, so did you have
So
the
whenever
best
I
of
went
both
over his
worlds?
house, it was like, what do I do with this extra button?
That's that's exactly that's how I felt, dude. I felt like actually like an orangutan when I had like the extra button, and then there was buttons on the top. Yeah,
Mhm.
eventually I think Genesis came out with their 6-button controller, and they kind of tried to catch up a little bit, and that made things nice. But yeah, like originally I was like, man, this thing has a million buttons on it, and like he was like, yeah, you can hit like these at the same time, and then it does this, and I'm like, all right, I'm out, man. Like this is too much for me. So.
Now let's
Yeah,
get
it
into
was.
talking about the next console, the underrated era of the Nintendo GameCube. I think it was underrated with some of the good games on it. Like Zelda, was it Wind Waker that was on it?
Yep, it was Wind
On the
Waker.
GameCube.
And
Yeah, Wind Waker.
Paper Mario, bro, the Thousand Year
Paper
Door.
Mario
I've been
was
doing
huge.
I've been doing a couple, like I've been practicing offline, like with speedrunning that game because I want to speedrun it more. But like it's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved Wind Waker. I think it's probably one of the most underrated Legend of Zeldas of all time. But I realize people don't like it maybe because of the art style, the way that it is different. It's completely
Yeah,
different.
Toon Link. I think it
There's
was Toon Link.
Is that right? Yeah, yeah. It looked so much different, and it's really sort of cartoonish. But I love the style. I thought it was a beautiful game, and
Dixie.
it was fun. It was really fun, man. So I'm disappointed a lot of people haven't played it, but it's an excellent game. People should run that one back for sure, though.
And the cult
So
classic that is Metroid Prime. What do you guys think about that?
I was not a big Metroid Prime guy.
Really?
me neither. I wasn't either. No.
I loved the old one. I guess I'm mainly a Super Nintendo guy. Super Metroid, loved it. Prime wasn't that hyped about it.
Yeah, same as me. Like I didn't really, um, I didn't really get into a lot of the Metroid games. I probably, if you're talking about like those type of what is it, over the shoulder third person like shooters, Resident Evil 4 was a masterpiece. So
Yeah.
much so that I feel like when they redid it, I feel like the original, we could argue back and forth. The original and also the remake are among the best, if not the best, Resident Evils made to date. Now we got a new one coming out on Friday, but Friday as of this recording, and I mean that's my opinion. The GameCube had it. I didn't have a GameCube originally, but I bought one after I played Resident Evil 4. I was like, this thing is such an incredible game, man. I thought it was a masterpiece.
This is probably gonna hurt some people's feelings here. Resident Evil 4 was the first Resident Evil I played, and I played it on the Nintendo Wii.
This will actually have some controversy as well. The first COD I've ever played was Modern Warfare 3, and it was on the Wii as well.
Ooh.
And man, was it terrible, but it was fun.
It was definitely rough.
Oh my god, dude. I'm I mean, you can get how you can get it, guys. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not even a Call of Duty fan, and I winced ever so slightly at that, just ever so slightly. How did it control on the Wii, by the way?
You just pointed
back
you pointed it at the screen, and like it would be like a shooter with the screen. That's the innovation behind it. Is like you control it with accuracy. There was this big YouTuber back in the day called Dazran303. I'm pretty sure none of you have ever heard of him, but he was the biggest Modern Warfare 3 Call of Duty Wii YouTuber. He was signed with Machinima, and he did so many Moab gameplays with him just pointing at the screen and just doing it like this.
Oh, just blasting.
It was so interesting back in the day seeing that. But when
The
I
Wii
did
was
it,
so
I
cool,
sucked.
It didn't work for you. How did Resident Evil 4 play, Lord? Like on the
So you would be walking around normally, and then you would hit a button to have him raise the gun, and then you would hit the trigger but aim with the controller.
Oh my god, that sounds so hard.
So anytime that you wanted to shoot, you had to stand still.
Oh my
It's
god,
so
dude.
hard.
There were some like little ways around it. Again, this has been years, but
Yeah.
I mean, I got through it. I beat the game.
I mean, so yeah. I mean, if you beat it, then you must have enjoyed it at least to some degree. Like that
Oh,
game
yeah.
was incredible. So even the Wii's wonky controllers couldn't ruin Resident Evil 4 for you. That makes me extremely happy. And I know Shio enjoyed. Since we're talking about cube games, the Super Mario Sunshine,
Yes.
was it right? Like that was a weird one, man. Like, does anyone else
It
think
was
that was
so
weird?
funky. It's so funky of a game. It's like the GameCube controller is the only controller I can think of like when actually playing that game, because there's too many buttons that you need to memorize for like controls.
Yeah.
Like even my old Pro controller when I was playing the All-Star version, that's now like really expensive. I have my All-Star, and when I was playing it for my Mario-thon like a couple years back,
Right.
there wasn't enough buttons. I had to plug in my GameCube into the thing, like a GameCube.
Just so you could control your character again. That's amazing. See, you guys are blowing my mind. I didn't realize how important that the GameCube controller was to everyone. Man, I'm out of the
Huge.
loop. Far, dude. And Super Smash Brothers came out as well, right?
Yes.
And so you're a fighting game, right, Vinge Lord? So, I mean, do people still use it? Obviously, that controller on the new iterations
Yes.
of Smash Brothers.
Yes.
They make a little adapter.
So they can throw it back with the old school controller.
And even I don't know if you noticed, but on the Wii, on the very top of the Wii, there was a plate, and if you lifted up the plate, there was 4 plugs for GameCube controllers.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember that.
shoot.
If you just look at a Wii, you're not going to be able to tell, but the very top is a hinged plate, and they're hiding right under the
That's
plastic bit.
unbelievable. My wife and I played our Wii till it literally melted down, and I think I got it in there. I may go look because I did not know that at all.
Do you guys remember Pokemon Rumble for the Wii?
Never played it.
I didn't
It
play
was a
any
cult
Pokemon
classic. Like
games.
it's a cult classic for like niche Pokemon games, but it was so much fun
Yeah.
back in the day. Let's get into the next topic. Like this was my era of gaming at school when I would go to elementary school. What you guys remember of the portable revolution of the Game Boy?
Oh man, are you talking about the original? Are we going that far back, or how far do you want to go?
We can go Game Boy Advance. We can go anything Game Boy.
Yeah, Pokemon wasn't really on much of my radar. I've told this story on the Dr. Man show, but my Pokemon career began and ended very pathetically. So I had some friends. I was in the computer science field in the beginning when I was in college, and I had some friends that sort of that challenged me. Do you remember the Link Up? I believe I played it. Correct if
The
I'm
link
wrong.
cable.
The link cable. Yes. So I had my Game Boy and I bought it because I was trying to fit in with these guys, and we're talking I'm just not like it was. I was not. I was out of my league, guys. Like these guys were so intelligent, and they were like, "Well, can we like challenge you? You want to play?" And so I remember I bought the game, and I was like, "I have a Game Boy, but I haven't, played any Pokemon." So I went and got like one of the original two, and I was playing it, and I leveled up my character as high as I could. I spent like all weekend. So I mean, I spent like 6, 7, 8 hours, which I thought at the time was a lot to me. And so the final day comes Monday morning. We link up. We're in college, the nerdiest guys on the planet, not a female in sight, and we battle each other. And when I tell you, the first guy I challenged was like, I'll use my like weakest Pokemon. He wiped me out without even blinking. And like one that I spent hours like battling and leveling up, like my strongest one, and he obliterated me. And I was just like, okay, I'm out of my league. I will never really be a true gamer compared to these guys. And they all laughed at me. They clowned me till the day that like college ended about how bad I was at Pokemon. And I'm like, dude, I just don't have the time. I was like, how can you guys find the time to play this? But I mean, they were king nerds. I submitted to the greater gamers that day.
Yeah, I didn't really get big into Pokemon, but from the very start, because I have a brother that's pretty similar in age. So I got Fire Red, and he got the blue, or not Fire Red. I got Pokemon Red, he got Pokemon Blue, but we never had a link cable. So
Ah,
like
okay.
we kind of play together, but we couldn't like fight each other, battle each other. Looking back on it, that was probably a good part. A good idea on Mom's part to not give us a link cable.
Yes. Yeah, so they come
Because
to
then
blows?
yeah, it'd come to blows. But yeah, after that, it just kind of it became like the same. So like getting the next one, like I had Pokemon Pearl and Black, I think, and like I'd get like 2 hours in, I'm like, I'm gonna go play Advanced Wars or something else.
Yeah, I remember Advanced Wars. That was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
There
Yeah.
was like no. I expected more creativity, and there was a lot of the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the
Weren't
one
they
thing that
just
made me mad
adding
about Pokemon is that back in the day it was just like recreated with different sprites.
Yeah, and then
Exactly.
they added a few more Pokemon to kind of keep it a little fresh, but like, it was basically like you said, it was the same game no matter what. One game that probably eliminated my entire soul was the Final Fantasy Tactics version on the Game Boy Advanced.
I
And I
had
don't know
that
if
as well.
y'all had that one.
That's my
That one
brother's favorite
actually
Final Fantasy.
That's actually probably one of my favorite Final Fantasies. I argue with myself internally if that one's better or if, the Evilus Chronicles on the SNES back in the day was better, but it's a beautiful game. Like I don't know why they haven't and I know they re-released I think right the original
Yes.
Final Fantasy Tactics. The Game
Yes.
Boy Advance version insanely sick, really good story, like just what a game, man. Like I spent it may be one of my top played video games of all time. Just insanely good.
I always get a lot of flack for this. My favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy One Mystic Quest for the Super Nintendo.
Ooh, for the
Oh,
SNES, dude. I
I
remember
get a
that
lot of
though.
flack for that.
I can
That was a
understand
good
why.
game.
It's a good game, but it's not. I don't feel like it's Final Fantasy.
It was the first game I ever like fully beat by myself.
Oh, yeah. Like
Got all the nostalgia in
As a
it. The
Final Fantasy
music's
lover,
great.
I just don't classify that game as Final Fantasy.
Oh man,
It's
it
a
was
good
The
so
game,
music's
good.
but
awesome.
It was so good, dude. It
I'm a
had all the
huge Final
ingredients.
Fantasy nerd. I'm a huge Final Fantasy nerd. Like I have actual figurines from actual Nintendo and the people who made Final Fantasy. I actually have like actual figurines from conventions,
Right.
and I have to say I can understand why people give you a lot of flack.
I love it, man. I can't help it.
Yeah, stand your ground, King. Stand your ground.
Might be more nostalgia than anything else, but its soundtrack was killer for its day.
Uh,
Yes.
now let's go into
Yes.
the next 5 to 10 minutes about the decline of like Nintendo and like the decline of like gaming back in the day when I believe it was the GameCube era where there was a big decline on like buying stuff because the GameCube was probably one of their least sold
I
consoles.
think Vingelord. I think Vingelord
Uh,
actually mentioned that.
yeah, I'm gonna put this squarely on the shoulders of Sony. The
Mm,
PlayStation 2 massacred everybody. The
Yeah,
PlayStation 2 was the coolest thing on the planet, and Nintendo couldn't do anything to compete.
right.
They pretty
I
much sat back
mean,
on their heels, brought out the GameCube, and just tried to pump out Mario, just their hardcore regular characters
the
and
hits.
make money off of the namesake, the nostalgia, and all that. When
Right.
PlayStation 2 was just out there just slinging consoles left and right.
Right. And the technology too was weird, right? They had those mini discs. I haven't done any research about where that came from, right? So obviously PlayStation had the normal CDs that everyone was using at the time, but like Nintendo had these mini
yeah.
little discs, and
They were
like I don't
weird.
know why they went with that or what the tech was. I mean, I
I
think
think they just
overall the
wanted to make it
PlayStation
more
2 was
compact, if I remember correctly, like
so
as
that's
more
Remember,
why
it had
compact
that
system.
it had that handle on the back that you could carry
dude.
the GameCube by.
Wasn't that thing indestructible? Haven't people even nowadays try to test it and like throwing it off like 5-story buildings and it survives and plays like with games in it, like something like that? Like that thing that if they won anything, they built the most indestructible machine like ever made.
I don't know
So
how they did it, but my cousins broke mine back in the day.
no
Don't
way.
know how they did it.
Oh my god, dude. That's unbelievable. They're stronger than somebody keep an eye out for them, dude. They may be
I
superhuman.
know, right? You put them on a watch list.
Yeah, bro. They're mutants, dude. So I mean, I don't know what else that can be said about it. I think that Vingelord like he tied it up in a bow. I don't know what was happening at the time with Nintendo, but their tech was weird. I'm pretty sure overall the GameCube was less powerful as well, right? Than the PlayStation 2 as
Yes.
Yeah.
well, if I'm not
It
mistaken. So
was
they had like
like it was terribly think of it like this.
yeah,
GameCube is like a minor superhero, while the PlayStation 2 was like Batman and Superman mixed together.
I say.
Like if I think back about what I played back in the day on my GameCube, it was almost all party games with friends. We'd be playing Smash Brothers, we played Mario Party. I loved Kirby's Air Ride. I don't remember that being multiplayer though. But like games that were very group focused. If you had a bunch of people over the house, you didn't pull out the PlayStation, you pulled out the GameCube.
Yeah,
But if I'm sitting
Yes.
down by myself, it was PlayStation back then.
I
Was
totally agree, especially with being in Final Fantasy 9. I loved
did the GameCube excuse me, did the GameCube have a Power Stone? Like Power Stone 2? Do y'all remember that
Power
game?
Stone was for the Dreamcast.
Oh, so okay, so I got my wires crossed again because I was like, what other games did they have that were multiplayer? Because everything you said hits really hard because that like the GameCube, I had one, I loved mine, and you're right, it wasn't for the single player games necessarily more than it was just like I guess it was Mario Party
yeah.
and Smash Brothers and maybe even Fantasy Star Online. I think they had a version
Yeah, they
They
did.
on
did.
GameCube. If I don't remember, if yeah, so like, dude, you're right. If you were just like having beers with your boys or just hanging out, dude, whatever it was, whatever age you were, like
And
the GameCube was
Mario Kart was big.
Mario
Another
Kart,
good
that's
example.
another one. Yes, so there were so many good like multiplayer games, and I did have a lot of friends and cousins that lived nearby, and we blasted those games, and it was a so much fun. Like, but I think you're right. I think it did dominate in those scenarios, but other than that,
It,
overall as a machine,
it's kind of like I used to always say. Um, Nintendo is for family and party.
yeah,
PlayStation is really for sitting down and playing like a good RPG or something like that. And then Xbox is for dicking around with your boys on the internet.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is, you know.
True.
You weren't gonna
True.
play Halo with your mom, but you know what? She'd do some Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah, she plays some Mario Party, dude. She'd roll the dice with
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
But so that the podcast isn't too long, because I know you guys have time. You guys are taking time out of your day. Let's finish off with the closing topic: legacy and cultural impact
Ooh.
of all the old school Nintendo. We can talk about any Nintendo from old school. We can even talk about Wii, since I consider that old school.
I mean, it's part of the culture as, as anything else is.
I
It's just another thing of human culture, whether it be pick an example of between what brand of car you drive to um, what type of beer you drink. Are you a Nintendo guy, a PC guy? Are you an Xbox guy, a PlayStation guy? It's just integrated itself into our
It's
daily lives.
it's so big now.
right.
It's crazy. Gaming has come such a long ways, especially with how Nintendo branded itself back in the day. I just find it crazy
Yeah.
because Nintendo used to be not as well known as it was now. Like I think like not I wouldn't say like that way. I would actually say Nintendo was actually a stable when it made like around Wii era, but then it had a decline with with the next with the 3DS. Then it had a
Mhm.
resurgence with the Switch, and then it had a
Right.
decline with the Switch 2. But everything as well as they've already labeled themselves as a competitor within the gaming scene and a legacy, even though they're
Yeah.
going downhill. It's a
Right.
legacy.
No. And I think you could hang the hat. You could hang all of this squarely on the creative properties that Nintendo has that they've created, right? Like for some reason, and I think this is the thing that needs to be studied because Nintendo in the past, like Shio has said, and Lord too, that they've had their ups and downs pretty bad in a lot of ways. Some innovations worked, some others didn't. But the one thing that has stayed far and away since the very beginning is the characters and video games they created are uniquely legendary and stick out not only in Americans' minds but Europeans worldwide even from the far reaches on the planet. I mean, you can't show people a picture of Mario even in his 8-bit form and people won't recognize who that is, right? Or,
Everybody will.
Link, everybody will recognize it because for some reason they have managed to create games, characters, and stories that are just that literally have encapsulated our entire culture of gaming and stand tall above a lot of other characters in recognizability and longevity, right? Like there's a lot of games that are really, really popular. They haven't been around as long as Mario or Metroid or some of these other IPs, right? And somehow Nintendo has managed to create these unique characters that have just I mean, they may outlive humanity.
Yeah.
Like there may be a plaque of like Mario somewhere that's like the last vestiges of humanity. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think you guys would either. It's just that ingrained in everyone's culture now.
Think about something like that we look forward to as a society, which is like space travel. There's going to be some guy that makes it to Mars, and I bet you there's going to be something that's Mario, Pikachu, whatever, something that he's going to be like, "We finally made it. We started here, and now we're here."
That would be
So
With
so
maybe
funny.
a plushie or maybe bringing up a ROM on his phone or something.
you're absolutely right, dude. Something will make it. There's movies, television, symphonic music of old Nintendo games now. It's in everything, and you're 100% right, Venge Lord. Something from Nintendo will absolutely make it to Mars, no doubt.
What do you think, Shia? What's the first thing that hits you on that?
I wouldn't be surprised to see like them throwing a Pokeball in the air if they sneak a Pokeball. Just grab one of those tin Pokeballs you get for trading cards with the 3 cards in it, and just throw it and see how far it
They get
goes.
Humans get there. There's aliens, and then in desperation, one of the astronauts flings a Pokeball at it. Dude,
Kind
Legendary.
of reminds me of that Space Force, the TV show, where they're talking about sending an orange to the moon and how it's like $400,000 to send an orange to the moon. Can you imagine being in that board of directors? Like, all right, listen, we're gonna send a Pokeball to Mars.
It's genius, dude. Don't let Elon watch this podcast, dude. He will do it. He's a maniac, bro. He will literally fund this. He'd be like, dude, launch the Pokeball.
He'll just do it out of principle.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny.
Absolutely, man.
But that's it for the podcast today. Thank you to Venge and thank you to Doc. Please, guys, Doc, you first. Talk about yourself.
My name's Doc X. Everybody, my real name's Leaf. I actually have a nostalgia podcast with two of my other old man friends. We talk about old school movies and whatnot. Be kind, let's rewind. And I also have a stream, the Doc Demand Show, with my other boy Demand on all things gaming. So yeah, you can find me. You can Google any of those, Doc Demand Show or Be kind, let's rewind. Thanks, Shio. Really appreciate you, man.
And we gotta get Demand sometime on this as well.
Yeah, I'm telling him,
100%.
dude. He's got to
And
come hang.
And Venge, your turn now.
I'm the Venge Lord. I stream on Twitch, make some YouTube stuff. You can always find me using the Venge Lord. It's a pretty unique name. You can just Google it. You'll either find anything that I've made or some clips that people have made, antics that I've done, and they've added it in a couple of their videos. Either way, it's a good time. Just look me up, send me a message, whatever. We always have a good time. Thank you for having me on, Gio.
And we gotta talk about this. Venge is the first ever Ultimate Iron Man on RuneScape to get a Bloodhound pet on #1 Master Clue.
On 1KC.
He's the first ever out of all the years.
This
So
is
nobody's
true.
done it before him. Oh my god!
Because
dude.
it's such
I didn't think.
it's like what was the chances again?
It's a
Venge?
1 in 5,000 drop from a Master Clue, which is rare to get in the first place. So I don't know what the math is, but it's pretty astronomical. I still don't think that anybody has gotten another one on 1KC as a UIM.
Hey,
I feel like
so
someone would have told me.
how is that possible that RuneScape still has things left uncompleted and undone, dude? And are there a lot left to do? Because I'm unfamiliar with the RuneScape community.
There's a few things, but thankfully the developers talk to the community quite frequently. And they sort of throughout the years, they've been alluding that there's one Easter egg that's been in the game for something like 9 years that nobody has found yet.
Oh man, is there a big search for the final or
They
the?
won't say.
Oh my god, dude! Now I want to know, man.
It's crazy. And there's, 3 years ago, somebody got an Onyx from Gembag. It's like a 1 in 100 million chance or something.
Wow.
Oh yeah, someone recently got an Armadillo plate skirt with that chance out of a mob on what was that area? Like it was the same odds.
That's when you're doing a clue scroll and you have to fight one of the Armadillion
Yeah.
Fighters.
Yeah. Thank you guys so
Aviancies.
much. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate everyone having on. So let's get into the ending.
To the ending.